Hey there, travelers. It's your GM Lucas, and I'm bringing you a special. Now, this is originally just a Patreon special. We have a lot of one-shots like these, audio dramas, all sorts of good stuff. You've heard us talk about the Patreon before. If you like this kind of thing, check it out. Like, minimum $1, you get access to absolutely everything on there. But this special is played using the Mask rule set. So if you don't know about that, Mask is a superhero TTRPG made by Magpie Games. Check it out, it's a lot of fun and very easy to dive into. Now, we may have messed up the rules a little bit, it's our first time playing, so whatever, but it was a lot of fun to go through. Our players today will be Humberto, who plays Pink Bubblegum, and we also have Diana from Multiclass Theater, another D&D actual play podcast, playing Allison, a very different kind of superhero. Now, I'll let you listen. These two are very unique characters and a lot of fun. And just having two players, it was a first time for me to really be able to kind of dive into that kind of role-playing. It's a lot of fun, and you really get to explore the characters a lot more. It was really good. But this whole two-parter actually takes place in Ronee's kingdom, the kingdom of Sylindia. I guess it's not Ronee's kingdom, kind of is, and you'll see why as you give this a listen. A lot of people have been messaging me being like, hey, what's Ronee's place about? Hey, what was Ronee up to? Hey, why didn't Ronee ever make it big if Ronee had such a high charisma? Well, you're about to hear all about that world. But I don't want to take up all your time. So, the usual spiel, check out our Patreon. It's full of rad stuff like this, and your support really helps us pay for things like hosting, new equipment, all that good stuff to help make this podcast as good as we can make it. Also, we have merch. Head on over to our Threadless store. There's a link on the Ballad website. That's ballad7dice.com. We have all sorts of shirts for like Death Shift, Ballad 7 Dice, all that kind of stuff. And if you're so inclined, check out our streaming show, Rise of Nyarlathotep. It's another D&D show we do. We even have a recap page on the website that has audio and written recaps to make it very easy to catch up. Even if you've never seen it before, we also have a getting started page and like a whole season 1 recap. So yeah, check it out. We're going to be hitting the season 2 finale right away. Alright, I took enough of your time. It's early in the morning. The sun is glaring at me, so I will let you dive into this. I bring to you The Ballad of Sylindia, Part 1.
Hi, my name is Humberto. I'm playing Pink Bubblegum, the Transformed.
I am Diana. I am playing Allison, who is an outsider. I am the DM and producer of Multiclass Theater, another Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast, now in our second season.
Sylindia is known as a place that is ruled by trends. Often the people of Sylindia think that they must be the only city because they just haven't really been bothered to look if there's anyone else out there. They are, by all means, the most self-absorbed. Entertainment, latest technology, gadgets, self-improvements, body modifications, this is what this place relies on. Sylindia is fueled by ego and selfishness. Unfortunately, this also means that a lot of people don't really try to take care of themselves and those around them. So there has been a rise of powered individuals that have come forward, that have actually started standing up for the people of Sylindia, that aren't influenced by the dangerous trends that often crop up. Usually in Sylindia, these trends will flood through the city, and it will be something as harmless as maybe you wear only red, and everyone will ditch all the other kinds of clothing they have, and they will only wear red. There's even a trend that maybe everybody sells their cars. Nobody has a car and everyone has to walk. But for some weird reason, all the citizens just seem to go along with it. But then heroes started emerging. And it started happening when first a few individuals claimed they heard the sound of a beating drum. They heard this heroic call as this drum beat continued to get louder and louder in their ears, and they found that they were no longer influenced by these trends. They were no longer swayed by the masses. Instead, they could stand up and choose to do what's right. Over time, more and more individuals were hearing this call, and eventually organizations started to be formed around this. And the school, known as HERO, the Heroic Educational Academy of Ronee O'Connell, was funded by the Church of the Shining God. They were standing up against the known villains, who likewise formed an organization known as Villains. Very influential lawyers and legals against incompetent mutant seditionists. The strange thing about a lot of these villains is most of them are in business, so they are really hardcore into riding that CEO lifestyle, but also a lot of the villains used to be heroes, which is a strange trend, but most people in Sylindia just said, that just must be how heroes work. They stay a hero too long and then they become a villain. You all are a part of this wonderful school, this Heroic Educational Academy of Ronee O'Connell. And as you are marching up to school, why don't each of you say who you are and who your characters are?
My character's name is Allison. That's really all she goes by. She doesn't really have a last name. She is tall, slender, beautiful. Everything the popular girls in high school wish they were. But she wants nothing to do with any of that because she marches to her own drum. She's typically dressed in like a tartan skirt and matching blazer and penny loafers with long hair often tied back in a ponytail. The funny thing about Allison is she's not really human at all. She's actually an insectoid from near Alpha Centauri. This is her second time being sent to this world as a representative of her race. The first time ended in catastrophe, I would say, when she revealed herself on the most popular dating show known as Eternal Love. She was chastised and punished and sent back to this world, this time as a high school student.
That's quite the punishment.
Really is.
My character is Pink Bubblegum. Before being Pink Bubblegum, my character was Ben Pinkerton. He wasn't like anything special. He was just like an inspector, like factory inspector, right? Like hell to check if everything in the factory is like doing well, if everything's clean, if like the latest formula of a product won't kill anybody, right? So he's not like huge or anything. But then, unfortunately, he made sort of like of an enemy just because he was doing his job. So there is this company called Bubble and Gum Industry, and he was just like supervising, just like checking if everything was okay. And the CEO got pissed at Ben Pinkerton, and he sort of like created a situation where he just threw Ben inside one of the silos containing bubblegum, like one of the failed solutions of like the chemical solutions of the bubblegum formula that he wanted to release. Then Ben, he got dissolved. Everything but, like, he melted, right? So everything but his bones, eyes, and brain. Oh wait, I think even the eyes. So everything, like, so the only thing that survived was, like, on the inside. Right? So a dog thought that, like, his plan went very well. He then dumped the remains of that silo into the sewer. Sewer goes to the lake. Ben didn't die, but he sort of survived inside, you know, like that primordial soup, like primordial bubblegum soup. Julia Ortiz found him, and she is transformed. She just like Ben will soon become. So she is like a jellyfish woman that, like, she has the power to heal others. So as she heals Ben back to the closest thing to human she could make him, like, due to losing flesh and skin and everything, like, due to the shock, Ben just lost his memory, right? And Julia, she found, like, a backpack, and along with him, like, pretty close to him, and inside that backpack there was, like, a wallet, and inside there was an ID of a high school student. So since, like, Julia didn't know, like, to whom that skeleton belonged to, she just assumed that skeleton belonged to this kid. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So she healed him, she helped him, and like I said, Pink Bubblegum, which just goes by that name, can't remember who he is. Even though, like, he forgot who he was, he still have the motivation to fight Dogwat. Right after he wakes up, like, there was, like, this huge, like, a billboard with his face on it, and that just triggered Ben, or Pink Bubblegum, into, like, a very, like, furious rage. So, I mean, he still, like, has hatred for Dog, but he doesn't know who he is. He's just, like, basically all he wants is just, like, vengeance.
And we're gonna say he's a part of Willem's.
So, just a quick question. Does he look like chewing gum, or does he look like just a normal...
Julia did what she could, right? If I'm not, like, enraged, I sort of maintain, like, a humanoid form. But, like, when I get enraged, I basically just, like, I'm a blob, you know, and just throwing, you know, myself, like, parts of me everywhere, right? And sometimes I just grab somebody and just shove inside of myself, and they just drown.
I like that.
So, yeah.
Allison, what is your playbook?
She is an outsider.
The outsider. And Pink Bubblegum, you are the transformed?
Yeah.
So both of you are walking up to school, and you have had to work together because this is like a superhero training school. So you've worked together on a lot of missions before. You've been teamed up. It's often some pretty mild stuff, but over time you have gained the ire of a specific low-end villain known as capitalism and their henchman Tax Boy. And it has just become, like, every time they keep trying to find you and make issues for you. Even, like, if you try to rent a place, for some reason, all the rent goes up and all the other places end up going out of business because of some bunch of tax issues. And they just try to make your life difficult while you're going to school. But they usually fail, so it's not too hard to defeat them. And as you walk up to your school, you gradually meet, and you walk up a needlessly complex path and stairway. They're built like it goes in between both of them as it's going, even though it doesn't need to. It's a very level area, but they made them just for the students, you know, it's good. And you go and see that there is a large statue of the alleged school founder, Ronee O'Connell, this lounge singer. It doesn't make a lot of sense that this man, he's heralded for so much all over the city. There is many organizations in his name. There are all sorts of products named after him, movies about his life, and none of them ever really line up either. And it all just seems to be funded by the Church of the Shining God. They've been pushing it really hard the past 10 years, ever since he died at a really strange talk show, Good Morning Sylindia. So you walk past this statue of this half-elf man wearing a flower costume and playing a keyboard and singing. And apparently this scene was taken from one of his last concerts with his band, Ronee and the Betrothed. As you come up to the school, there's actually a few undead workers who are like jerkily putting more arcane cement on a broken wall. Their tiny flickering flames are in their eye sockets as they glance your way, but there's no sense of awareness that can be seen in them. And a city necromancer is just sitting on a golf cart smoking out of a corn pipe, which is a really big trend right now. Everyone has corn pipes. This is a normal thing, though, because the city, one of the things in Sylindia, you can actually sell your corpse if you want extra money. So you basically just sell it to the city saying, when I can no longer be revived, you can use my body as an undead creature to do labor around the city. And that's how a lot of the city is kept in really great shape, because they just have workers they don't have to pay, feed, they don't have to sleep. So things work out if you are a necromancer in Sylindia. The two of you get into your class. You see there's two other hero teams that are also in this class of yours. There's the Butter Bars. They're a very unhealthy snack food-based group that is all heavily based around butter. A lot of their powers is making junk food and other unhealthy things, but sometimes they can pull off a job or two. Really, they're backed heavily by a lot of the snack food companies, and they've just been sent to this school as like a publicity thing. And the other one is the Slayers, which is a heavy metal band turned into a heroic group, because they all found out during one of their concerts they all had a bunch of elemental powers and accidentally destroyed the whole place and everyone along with it. But they decided to be heroes. And you walk in and Mrs. Mirandez is there. She's your teacher, who's also known as the humanoid refrigerator. And she smiles at all of you as this breeze of cold air flows towards you. Go ahead and take a seat, Allison and Pink Bubblegum. We have a special presentation today.
Okay, Mrs. M.
I don't say anything, but I'm like super nervous. So like my humanoid form starts, like to shake. And you can see, like the gums, like bubbles.
Yeah.
And then okay. Because of like the bubbles, because I don't have a mouth, right?
Right.
I mean, I do my best to communicate.
It kind of comes up through bubbles in you.
Yeah. It's similar to that gelatinous cube.
Oh, gelatinous rube.
Gelatinous rube.
Yeah.
But I still have, like, I can say things, right? It's just, it sounds super odd.
So, Allison, you're very used to Pink Bubblegum. He's been quite handy in a lot of moments, especially apprehending criminals. The fact that he is elasticy and sticky has been great for having to capture people. And walking by the Butter Bars, it just, you kind of like get heartburn just from being in the vicinity of them. They've just recently got into carnival eats. So they're all talking about how everything needs to be on a stick and deep fried before you can actually consider it a healthy food. This hero group might not live long, just for health reasons. The presentation starts up pretty quickly, and Miss Mirandez sets up this projector, and all the technology in this world relies on arcane energy. There is some divine tech, but it's very far and few between because there aren't many gods in Sylindia. There's maybe a couple that started up. A lot of them came about from trends and with enough belief, gods manifested in this area. But there's very few people who actually stick with it and run with being a cleric. And of course there's There's a lot of people, like there's trolls here, orcs, elves, gnomes, like the city is absolutely full with all sorts of beings, minotaurs, ogres, and it's just like everybody works together because as far as anyone's aware, this is all there is. And the whole area around Sylindia is like a wasteland, but in Sylindia, it's like a utopia. The weather is always perfect, there's bountiful food, there's always like the fresh green grass and the beautiful parks that you can walk through, massive skyscrapers. Nobody knows where a lot of the supplies come from, but everyone just kind of accepts it as fact of life. Starts up another slide where you start seeing things on this projector where it starts talking about the great Ronee O'Connell. And going in about how his rise to fame with Ronee the Betrothed, and then eventually he got replaced by a dwarf named Kyle. His life just started spiraling, and it's a really weird documentary that you end up having to watch for some time. As you're all sitting there, suddenly you feel your desks begin to shake, and everyone starts getting a little panicky. Miss Miranda's is looking around. From the wall to your right, which should be facing outside naturally, suddenly it explodes open, and then you hear, "Ha ha ha ha! Prepare yourself for the taxes of your life!" And you see capitalism, and you hear another person jump in there and say, "And it's me, Tax Boy! Prepare to be audited into the next century!" And you watch as the ground starts getting turned into gold from Tax Boy and capitalism, as their main thing is money-based. So what would you two like to do seeing your nemesis show up so soon?
As like the wall exploded, I'll try just to grab like as many, like, you know, for the debris not to hit like the other students. I'll just try to reach out, you know, just grab them.
Why don't you roll to defend someone? So you roll 2d6 plus your savior.
Low is bad, right?
Yeah, what'd you get?
High is good, right?
High is great.
High is amazing, right?
Yes, you got 2?
So I got 1 and 1.
Oof. Okay. So, let's see, when you roll defend on a 7 to 9, it costs you... Okay, so what condition do you want to give yourself as you watch these bricks fly and it collides with many of the people of the butter bars? Hitting them, their snacks going flying, and some of them look like they actually got pretty injured. So give yourself a condition. There's angry, afraid, guilty, hopeless, or insecure.
I think I'll feel guilty.
So you are now guilty. And what would you like to do, Allison? You watch as these bricks go flying, hitting the butter bars, and slowly things are transforming into gold.
So Allison reaches down, and on her wrist, what looks like a very fashionable bracelet, consisting of a metal band and a silver disc. She takes the disc from her bracelet, throws it down towards the ground. As it heads towards the ground, it expands into a saucer about 3.5 to 4 feet wide. She does a backflip, and at the same time materializes a broadsword out of midair, landing on the disc and readying the sword.
Oh, I like that.
That's fancy.
Do you want to try to provoke someone, like scare them with how much you're gonna mess them up?
I think she wants to talk a little smack.
Okay.
So you come in here and you like make everything gold, and like you want to collect like taxes from us, like, but you're like giving us gold. Isn't that like socialism? Like, I'm not sure I'm like feeling your whole vibe here.
I think you might hit them with a powerful blow on this one. You should try to provoke them. It's a roll plus superior. We're not socialists.
I got a 3.
Oof. Okay. When you say this,
you ring out these words. You feel very confident. You're standing there holding onto your sword, looking at them. And you see Tax Boy go, "Oh, but we're collecting the gold. And we're collecting you!" And he points, and one of the butter bars who got hit with a rock, and he's kind of holding his head as this butter is leaking out instead of blood. You watch as he slowly transforms into gold. He's like, "No! You shall be our prophet today!" And Capitalism, she looks down at Tax Boy, and she pats him on the head. She's like, "That's right." And she whips her hand up, and suddenly all this money, like these dollar bills, start flying in and forming up like this little mini hurricane underneath her, rising her up. And she starts advancing towards all of you. What would you like to do?
I'm going to zoom forward to meet her.
Okay.
My broadsword held out, and I'm going to take a slash at her. And try to, as sort of I zoom by, so like slash and then like zooming loop-de-loop thing.
For sure. That sounds like directly engage a threat.
It does sound like that.
So, can I provoke them? Because the moment that they're creating more gold, it means like the gold prices will go down. So, I mean,
Yeah, hit them with logic.
literally, yeah, like that's stupid,
Yep.
right?
First we'll wrap up. So Diana, what did you get for directly engage a threat?
I got an 8.
All right. So on the 7 to 9, pick one. Resist or avoid the enemy blows. Take something from them. Create an opportunity for your allies, or impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition.
I will choose impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition.
Okay. So you come by with your sword and you swing it at them, and you actually clip Capitalism. You knock off a piece of her golden mask that she has, and it goes flying off. And she didn't expect this, and her dollar bills start like giving way, and she falls down to the ground and starts scurrying backwards from you as you're zipping around. But while you're doing that, you're a little too focused on Capitalism. And when you do the loop-de-loop, your feet fall off the saucer, and you crash onto Miss Miranda's desk. So you can take one of the conditions: angry, afraid, guilty, hopeless, or insecure.
I will take insecure.
And you do see that one of the students from one of the other classrooms is in the hallway, and they are recording this, and it's definitely going to go on the internet.
Not the internet.
So did I see that?
Yeah, you see as your teammate, she falls off her disc, landing onto the ground.
Can I try to like prevent her like to fall?
Sure. You could try to roll another defend.
Let's see if I won't break you into two. Oh, mine is good.
Hey! So, on a 7 and 9, it costs you expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation, but you could do one of the following. You can add a team to the pool, which I totally forgot to do. You get team points, which think of it like one of you can use this team point to make the other person's roll do better. Mm-hmm. Or you can take influence over someone you protect. So you would gain influence over Allison, which means like basically you get bonuses to your rolls when dealing with Allison. Or you can clear a condition of your own that you have.
So I think helping her, I think maybe I should just clean my guilt.
You feel better about not being so...
Yeah, I mean, I screwed that time, but like this time it wasn't like that bad.
So how does it look when you go to save Allison?
I stretch my arm, and then my fingers, they also stretch.
Yep.
And like everything sort of like stretches as much as it can. Each end of my fingers, they stick to the wall, and then she would fall on top of my palm.
Oh, so it's like a bouncy net.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do this, and Allison, you bounce off of Pink Bubblegum's fingers, and it was just before you're about to hit the desk. So actually, I'll let you take away that insecure, since Pink Bubblegum helps you out there. But as you're doing this, Pink Bubblegum, you saw that Taxboy was left to their own devices. And they go in with this whirlwind slap. And they jump and they spin. And the thing about Taxboy is clearly a 45-year-old man. And it's just always weird when they call themselves Taxboy. They dress up with like a little kid's cape and stuff like that. It's awkward. Kind of like how SpongeBob, Merman, and his part. Oh, I already forgot that. But so he goes in and he does this like roundhouse slap, and you see that another 2 members of the Butterbar crew are turning into gold, and the last Butterbar is just trying to scramble out of there. And the Slayer group, for all the gusto they have, they look terrified at this situation. And you see now that capitalism is trying to regain their composure as they're trying to get away from Allison and Allison's sword, more specifically. And you see as they start gathering the dollar bills again once more, lifting them in the air, and you can hear the clear sounds of vehicles approaching from outside.
First, after she avoids hitting the desk, she's just like, thanks, BG, and hops back up on her feet.
I just give like a thumbs up.
She is going to provoke Taxboy. While still holding her sword in a somewhat defensive position, she tilts her head and blinks coolly at Taxboy and says, "Oh, what's the matter? Didn't Mommy and Daddy love you enough?"
It's gonna be tough for Taxboy. Let's go ahead and roll that roll. That's plus superior.
10.
10. Alright, let's see what happens. On provoke someone on a 10 plus. So you could choose that they stumble, and you can take a +1 moving forward on them, so you get to choose 2 of these. Or you can choose that they err, and you gain a critical opportunity to try to take them out. Or they overreact, and you gain influence over them.
They overreact, and then they err.
My parents cared about me. They always make sure that I have breakfast in bed each morning. I still live with my parents. That's how much they love me. It's not that I didn't want to get my own place. I have more than enough gold. And he just starts freaking and throwing a tantrum, and the last Butterbar is able to actually scamper out of the room thanks to this. And Pink Bubblegum, while Taxboy is having basically a tantrum, an adult tantrum in this place, and you see capitalism is starting to gather themselves back up. What would you like to do?
Can I try to maybe unleash my powers and like grapple?
Sure, like coat them both in gum?
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
So I got 14.
Oh my god. Alright. You start getting all your powers up, you feel your bubblegum rising, and what does it look like when you capture these 2 villains?
Just gather around them, and start absorbing them.
So, it's horrifying to watch, because Pink Bubblegum was in like a bit of a humanoid form, and just starts like moving and like bubbling and growing and stretching, and like grabs onto Taxboy and grabs onto capitalism, and they're like, no, not again, as they're getting pulled back in, and they're just slowly being dragged into Pink Bubblegum. It's like, no, and then they just get absorbed, and you just see them, they're like pushing at the bubblegum, but they can't get out.
Can they transform me into gold?
They seem to have a hard time with it, especially when he's flustered.
Okay, so I start to constrict.
Yeah, so you now have these. So like we're basically out of this combat, or you have them incapacitated. They're inside of you, and quickly through the hole. Naturally, the first responders come through. The reporters and the cameramen. They're all like piling through, like falling. Basically, if you've seen any videos yet of Fall Guys, that's what it looks like. They're all just like falling over each other in this giant mound as they're rushing through, like, a word, please, a word. Quickly, one woman, she's like beating a few of the other reporters back with her microphone and like crawls over one. She's standing on a guy. and her cameraman is like, I got it, as he's trying to zoom in. And she straightens herself out. She fixes her hair, looks over at the camera and says, John DeHarris on the scene. I'm here with a local hero group that has finally put an end to capitalism and our henchman, Tax Boy. How does it feel to be contributing to the well-being of our society and the economy? And points the microphone in both of your faces.
It's just another day for me.
Allison looks at her and, yeah, I mean, we were just sitting in class, and then they came and interrupted our school day. Like, I'm not sure how much we contributed to the economy. I mean, like, maybe it'd be better off just gathering up all of this gold. Like, I don't know.
But Allison, like, they're destroying property, right? I mean,
sorta, I guess. I mean, but, like, gold. Like, I don't know. It's all so confusing.
You see the last butter boy comes back in and is weeping over his 3 golden comrades.
I mean, like, you want tragedy? That's tragedy.
Ooh.
Do you know how many calories he eats a day?
He is crying butter. I need this. Quick, Larry! And he's trying. I'm trying! Just zoom in! Okay? And now she's trying to interview a sobbing butter boy, the last butter boy. That will be the name of his autobiography 5 years down the line.
Oh, right before he dies, right? Of a heart attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
All his money will just go to the fast food industry.
So, BG, are you like, do you just like eat them, or are you gonna like give them to like the authorities? Like, kind of fuzzy on what we do here.
I don't know. I mean, the last time I let them go, right? And I don't know if I should kill them.
You hear Miss Miranda say,
consume them?
Pink bubblegum. And she's like, you see she has her arms full of like golden objects, like a stapler, a cup, and everything. Just like, listen, pink bubblegum, shoot. Well, I'll take those 2. Damn it. Let me just drop this stuff off at my locker, and I will be back. And I will deal with those 2 getting brought in to the police. I'll freeze them myself. Don't worry. Do not consume them this time.
I mean, there was never like a last time. They just know that I can.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're just like, you see a hand push, they're like, help!
So, like, I sort of break their fingers, so they won't do anything.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's horrible, but I mean, I just get like tired of like that thing happening like all the time.
Yeah.
So I just like, I mean, I don't have like to break all the fingers.
Yeah, it's a few unsettling crunches you can hear within the bubble.
Yeah. And then I tell Allison,
They're fine. They're fine.
It doesn't take long for Miss Miranda's to come back, and she is collecting the 2. And as like they step out, they're like, "Oh, thank good!" And she puts a hand on their face, and they just freeze solid. She's like, "That's 1, all right." And then grabs the other one. They're like, "No, not again!" And then they get frozen and drugged over, and just sat over near her desk. And she's like, "Well, the classroom is made out of gold now. There's a hole in the wall, and it looks like this floor's been pretty damaged, so you can have the day off, I guess."
So, what about the quiz tomorrow? Like, do we get, like, extra credit or something? Like,
It's almost impossible to fail someone from this school. There has been one fail boy, and they are still in the first class.
Oh.
Unfortunate power, really, to fail everything.
Yeah, I think I read about him on the internet.
People are telling him to fail upwards, but he failed to understand the comment.
Yeah, like, I mean, you'd think Failboy would just be a good identity to take, but, like, yeah, some people.
Yeah, well, I mean, all power to him if that's what he wants to do. I don't think it is, but... So now you have more or less, like, the day free. And like all superheroes, you hear the drum in your head, this constant like boom, 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 and it's faint, but it's always there, and it's been just a part of your life ever since You really could remember, and for you, Allison, it's really ever since you've come to Sylindia. You just think like everybody probably hears this drum. So to you, it's normal. And you, Pink Bubblegum, ever since you woke up and you were Pink Bubblegum, you've always just known this drum.
It probably is like a lot fainter for me, right?
Yeah. Well, for both of you, it's not super loud, but like you can hear it. Think of it like somebody's playing loud music like 6 houses away, sort of thing.
So I probably feel more the vibration than like the sound itself, right?
The weird thing is you don't actually feel a vibration from where it's coming from. You just hear the drum beat.
Okay.
You have the day free, and school starts naturally at 5 p.m. and it goes till 6 p.m. because that's how school works here. So you have what little of the evening that you want before you have to go home to. Where do each of you stay?
Allison lives with her parents, who are actually her keepers and minders and report back to her homeworld. So she very much kind of has that teenage existence for real.
That was a heavy punishment.
It really was. It was humiliating.
Where do you stay, Pink Bubblegum?
I just go back to the lake
Okay.
and stay with Julia Ortiz.
Okay. So is there anything you two would like to do, or do you think that you would probably go home after dealing with this fiasco?
So, BG, just so you know, the other night, like, if my parents call, tell them we were out on a mission. Tell them it was homework. Just cover for me, okay? Like, just tell them we were on a mission. Please.
The last cell phone that I had just, got consumed by my body. So if they call, like, they won't be able to.
Yeah, like, you know what? Like, I should, like, make something for you, like, so that doesn't happen. Like, let me think about it. Because I actually have the alien tech skill, so perhaps I could whip something up.
Yeah, you could definitely whip something that would be more resilient to his bubblegum nature.
Yeah, give me like the evening to work on that. I think I've got some stuff at home. If not, I think Radio Shack is still open.
There's definitely a Radio Shack, and it's doing well.
Very well.
This parallel reality.
Yeah, there's always one person with the Radio Shack shirt, and they actually help you, and they actually want a commission. So they do really well. Their customer service is great, and their amount of products they have, they actually don't break when you bring them home. All reasonably priced as well. This fictional Radio Shack.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, are you just going to go home and... What do you do in the lake? Like, you don't live in the lake, right? Like, you have, like, a house?
I don't. I mean, I don't feel a lot. I mean, I know when I'm grabbing something, when I'm pushing something, I have control of it. But I don't feel. So, if, like, when I'm sitting on a bench or, on the rocks, it doesn't actually matter. Because my body sort of, like, shapes into, whatever, I'm touching. Even though, like, I do my best, like, not to, but it's very hard for me.
What about, like emotionally or psychologically? Like, don't you have, like, wants and needs? Don't you get bored?
Yes. I mean, I can't even remember who I am. Right. So that's just, like, everything else is just, like, so small in comparison. I mean, Julia, she always tries, like, to be there. Like, and I talk to her, so she's, like, very much my emotional support for that. She said that she was going to, I don't know, like, start building up something so I could stay in. But like I said, I don't mind. I don't feel cold or, like, heat. And I like just watching the stars, during the night. So I think it's a good perk for being the way I am, I think.
That was That was very beautiful, BJ.
Thank you.
So there's this touching moment. Actually, do you have your playbooks open? Is there something for opening up? It's all about teenage feelings.
There's team moves. When you share a triumphant celebration with someone, take influence them, or if you show them meaningful affection, physical or emotional, they decide if it's meaningful. You would get, I think it's a +1 point for potential. When you share a vulnerability or weakness with somebody, they tell you what you should do to fit in more, take +1 forward.
So yours is if they help you kind of like fit in, if you share that you're feeling like you don't.
Yeah.
So for the transformed, when you share a vulnerability or weakness with someone, ask them if they think you're losing or gaining humanity. If they say losing, mark a condition and mark a potential. If they say gaining, clear a condition and shift mundane up and any other label down. So I think in this moment, if you wanted to do that, you could. Because I think you're sharing about how you can't feel and how you feel like a little, like it's okay in some senses.
So I ask her,
Close to you, I don't like you being like such a popular girl. Like, I feel like I don't feel so left out. So thank you for being there, and thank you for not seeing me as a freak.
BG, you're not a freak. You're not. Don't let them get to you. You're you.
so when I point to myself, you can see that my finger, it sort of melds into my own body, and then I say like,
I clearly am, right? I mean, I do my best, but like, I can hardly maintain my humanoid form.
I know, but like, okay, look at the Butter Boys or whatever. They were like, that used to be the football team. I mean, come on. Like, you think they're better than you? They're going to be dead in 2... Actually, most of them are dead now. The other one isn't going to see 25.
That's true. I mean, it's more like how other people perceive me rather than how, like, what I think about myself. I mean, I do see myself as a freak, but I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't just like care about like what other people think. It's just hard, you know. Especially, it's not just how I feel. It's not even like having the initial support for my own feelings, right? Because I don't even, like I said, I don't even know who I am. I don't have any, like, I don't have a past. I have anger, right? I'm a lot of impulses and emotions. Even though, like, I'm opening up to you, it's, I think feelings sort of like drive me more than what I actually think. You know, rather than my thoughts, I think my feelings, they just drive me way, like, it's just like a stronger force, right? So not knowing who I am, not having a past, I can't even, like, I have you, and I have Julia, but it's pretty much, like, the two of you guys. I don't have anyone to turn to.
Well, you have us, and the past doesn't matter. You have a future. You have your whole life ahead of you. You decide who you are and who you want to be.
At least, like, physically, I think so. I can be gigantic. I can be small. I agree with you. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if I can die. I mean, how's that human? How's that like anything close to human?
I'm no expert on what it means to be human, but I think more people feel the way you're feeling than you think.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. Thank you.
You can shift your mundane up and any of your other labels down if you like. And clear a condition if you have one.
I don't have a condition.
Then you can mark a potential. Because you should get something. That was a good scene. And naturally, this conversation, like it kind of like you were walking and you left the school grounds. You took the 15 minutes to get through the stairs. That it should have only been like a 2-minute walk. You were walking around town for a little bit, having this conversation. You were just dodging a few of the erratic drivers of Magitech cars that were racing by, and you were seeing some of the other heroes like fly through the sky as you were kind of sitting at this one little cafe, and you were watching them battle these other ridiculous villains, thinking about how you could be those heroes one day. And night starts to roll around, and one thing you both notice is this has never happened before, but the sounds of those drums is getting louder.
So I'll ask Allison, like,
Do you feel that? Like the drums? I can feel them. Like, seems like they are stronger. Like, I feel inside my body. Even though, like, I know it doesn't vibrate, but it's sort of like, I don't know, me just being like a jelly. I mean, I wish there was just a little bit of,
We can add some vibration. We say since it's louder, you can see pink bubblegum every so often. And just like boo.
He's like it's like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I could feel it in my teeth. God, that's so weird. Yeah. I don't like how that feels at all.
Sorry, question. Do I know that Allison is not human?
I've been thinking about that. I don't know if... I don't think she would have confided in you yet. Like, I think that's kind of what I've been wrestling with. I think she's close, but I don't think she's said anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
You feel yourselves being drawn to the school, and you know that it's time. Definitely, Allison, you know that it's time to go home. You have gotten a number of texts on your phone saying, "Daughter, you have to return to the home unit." This is a completely regular text. Stuff like that, and but you just, both of you are feeling so drawn to your school, your classroom.
Do you want to, like, I don't know, do you want to head back to school? Like, I just kind of, I don't know, I think we should.
As you're saying that, like, my skeleton is sort of like facing forward, but my body just like just like turns like 180 degrees without even like me realizing that. And I say, yeah, I think so. And then I just realize, and I'm like, oh no. And then whoop, I just spin inside myself.
And you could hear like the squishes, the bubble gum and stuff.
BG, you don't see this, but she kind of like shudders a little bit. She's like, I'll never get used to that.
Every so often, like, his skull like kind of presses out and like slurps back in.
Not a freak, but totally a freak.
Yeah, you're just a hero. And so you two are walking throughout the night, and this drum, it just keeps getting louder and louder to the point where you feel like someone's playing a drum near you, and you find yourselves walking through the halls. You see a number of pictures along the walls of different heroes throughout the times. You see there is the picture of the Iron Guardian. They were one of the first sentient synths that exist in Sylindia. There actually was a revolt maybe 15 years ago where the synths tried to rise up, but it was a failed one. And after that, the Iron Guardian just started realizing that they should protect people, and they started going out of their way. You see a few others like the Solar Flare, and their issue is that their heat was too much, and they ended up imploding at one point. But they were pretty good for a while helping out people. And it's just a number of these heroes, but the strange thing is, I'd say about maybe 90% of these heroes as you're walking through this hall have all gone missing or they've died. Like, heroes don't seem to last very long in Sylindia. You get to your classroom and you can hear the sounds of metal straining. As you walk in there, you feel almost like you're in a trance. And the gold that Tax Boy has sort of turned everything into in this area, this room was never meant to be made out of gold. It has wrecked a lot of the structural integrity. And as the weight is too much and the floor slowly starts to heave before you can react, you suddenly hear a loud snap and boom. And you feel the ground give out around you. And the drums are deafeningly loud. And as these drums are going, Pink Bubblegum, you're having a hard time holding your form. Like, you keep, mutating and moving around. You're holding your ears, Allison, and you're echoing out this screech. That is normal for your people, but a human teenager would never be able to emanate as you're clutching at your ears. And both of you are just falling and falling and falling.